Well, hi there. I'm Sandy Allnock with this month's Create in Color segment on the MFT channel. And today I'm going to be coloring some owls. And what I did was pull up some Google images of owls because I wanted to get an idea for some interesting colorways to use with them. And I'm using some albrecht durer watercolor pencils. And what you do with these is put your color down. You don't have to be super careful with blending and things, but what I like to do is layer the color on as if I'm going to be using just the colored pencil itself and not doing any watercolor. That's going to make it a lot easier to do the blending and things that I'm going to do as I continue with my coloring. So doing it a little bit carefully can help. These pencils, I think even more than some of the expensive pencils, these melt out into watercolor better than I think any other brand that I have in my stash. Because look how soft I can get that color. I can take clean water and really lighten colors up, blend them softly, and I just love how easily they wet out. There are some more expensive ones on the marketplace, but these are fairly reasonable for the price of pencils nowadays. And you just wet them. I mean, it's super easy to do with just a simple wet brush. And this one, I believe, is a number 6 round brush. And with each one of these areas, if I wanted to lift up some of that color on the tummy, it was really easy to do by taking that damp brush and just pushing into the colored area from the clean area. If you want something to be totally white, make sure that you paint that area first and paint into the color rather than pulling the shadow colors out toward the lighter area, if that makes sense. Because notice how my brush goes from the lightest area pushing into the darker area. And when I want to start again and start fresh, I've got pigment on my pen or on my brush. So I need to make sure I wet that brush again, rinse that color off so that I can be in control of just how much of the color is going to be on there. But look how nicely I can lighten the color as well. You can do that by dabbing it with a paper towel, lifting color up that way, but it's so easy to do with just a brush. One of the things I noticed in my owl pictures, the one on the left has a more of a brown color. This one has more of a gray color with a little bit of brown mixed into it. But I've noticed they also have more white on their undersides and under their wings rather than necessarily above their wings, probably because when a predator owl is flying overhead, if he's got white wings, the prey underneath is less likely to see him if he's looking up at white against a bright sky, that sort of thing. So pictures on Google totally can help you in figuring out what colors to make things. And the owl on the right, he's got a darker grayish color, and his tummy was darker and the outside of his wings, but the underside of his wings were lighter. So it's just really helpful for me to get ideas. And it's stamps. You can color them any color you want. You can make them pink and purple and yellow owls and be perfectly fine with that. But if you're looking for a realistic look, it's always helpful to look at the pictures of the animals themselves. And you don't even need to know what breed something is. You can just use them for starter ideas, because I doubt anyone would recognize what breeds these are, even people who are experts in owls, because they're kind of a combination of a few of the photos that I found when I was looking online. I decided to make them for a Christmas card, even though the stamp set could be used for lots of different themes as well. And these are stamps by the amazing Stacy Yakula. She has designed for many years. She's just started with MFT, and I love her work. I absolutely love it. If you look on my YouTube channel, you'll find lots of her work. If you just look for Sandy Allnock, Stacy Yakula, you will probably locate a few videos to get some ideas on how to color her stamps in different types of mediums. And now for the background around my 2 little owls. I wanted them to stand on a branch that has snow on it. So I started by very lightly sketching in the branch in a light gray, but I need to have some color behind the snow. I don't want to have outlines on the top of snow, because then it's going to look like outlined snow as opposed to realistic snow. So I'm coloring the blue in, leaving the white snow above each one of the branches, and I'm putting just barely any of it down here. Now, if you're using different kind of watercolor paper, this is hot press. If you're using cold press or rough and you have trouble with getting large areas like this to look kind of flat and nebulous on that kind of paper, because with the texture it can be a little harder, you could always just watercolor that background area. You don't have to actually use watercolor pencil and everything. You could mix your mediums and that sort of thing. So taking my clean brush and spreading out that color so I get nice soft edges. You could also use a baby wipe over top of those areas to get nice smooth blending of that color if a brush doesn't work really well for you. You might try that on a scratch piece of paper and see which kind of look works better for smoothing out that watercolor. So I got just barely any color in the top. The bottom has just enough to define the snow on the top of the branches. And now I'm going to go in with darker grays and a little bit more pressure to create some definition in the branches themselves. And trying to have some thick areas, some thin areas, and then putting a little bit of shadow underneath of the snow. The bottom of the edge of snow is going to be kind of lumpy and wiggly. So you want to have that kind of an edge underneath of it. And then the bottom of the branch itself then will be more branch shaped, I guess, rather than lumpy looking. I'm not sure if I'm explaining that right even. And also when you're going over these with your pencil, if you take your pencil over top of wet pigment, it's going to get heavier and more solid, but it's also not going to move as well. So I'm making sure that I'm adding that just in the areas where I want that really darker, richer color. And then I just popped it onto a couple layers of cardstock onto my finished card, and I think it came out really super cute. I love these designs by Stacy, and I'm looking forward to seeing lots more from her at MFT. I want to wish you all a very Merry Christmas in case I don't see you. I have one more MFT video coming in December, but just in case, I hope you have a really happy holidays, and I will see you again soon.